Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And as of this date of recording, we are less than a week away from Prismatic Evolutions dropping in live. I believe that's January 16th, I think is when it is. It drops on a
That's
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah. Okay.
A Thursday and live. So, and they did the announcement. They're actually doing a few little fixes and all that. So it also means on Tuesday, be prepared not to play live too much because it'll be down for 8 hours. Because we all
Fixes like adding in friend matches for expanded. Full expanded.
well, they're once again
Fixing the game.
they're fixing a bug with Ditto from
Oh yeah,
Pokemon
the
Go.
Terrakion bug, right?
Which hopefully this set won't cause a new bug in it because they fixed it. They fix it and it gets bugged again. So eventually it'll rotate and it'll probably never work right and expand it. But that's not to why are you making us talk about live? That's not what I want to talk about today.
Hey, I don't know. Anyway, so let's talk about the battle pass as well. That's related to live.
Yes.
Which I forgot. I always forget that this is like a thing for whatever reason. This set's like not great. It's kind of bad. Well, actually, it's pretty bad, right? I feel
Yeah,
like.
I mean, just hold. So it's a mini set, right? So it's
Yeah.
got, I believe, 131 cards, not counting the alternate arts, and 55% of those cards, is my understanding, are reprints. So there's not a lot of new cards. I mean, there's a decent amount, but there's not a lot of good new cards, is what I'd say.
Yeah, if you count like the reprints are like good. I think I don't remember what they are, but some of them are definitely very good. But then the first battle pass deck it says Flareon EX here. It's Flareon EX Evolutions. It plays Jolteon EX and Vaporeon
Right.
EX, and
You get the
and then
you get the new EV, the EVEX, one of the new
oh
cards
yeah,
as well.
and you got the new no, never mind. So then there's also the other deck is Reggie Draco V-Star. Um, Yeah, wait, it's called Dragon Slayer. Why is it called Dragon Slayer if
Well,
it like is a dragon?
this is the deck that came in. It won seniors at Worlds this year. I imagine this might be one of the decks that's one of the Worlds decks they produced. So that's probably what it's actually called, right?
Yeah, the name like shouldn't it be the other way around? Anyways, whatever.
Oh, because
So
you don't want your dragon to be killed, right?
yeah,
Um, yeah. So well, the weird thing about that is, if you're a new player getting this Reggie Drago deck, you should have gotten a while ago because it's going to rotate soon. So it's not great for newer players. And if you've had your account around for a while, you already have Reggie Drago, so it's not a very useful deck, I would say. That this deck is disappointing. Some other new cards, even if it wasn't a good deck, just getting some cards that people build their collection with and will stick around to post rotation would have been better. But that is what it is.
yeah. Teal Masogapon EX is sticking around. Dragapult EX has two copies of that sticking around,
Yep.
but and some other cards like well, I guess you got Iono for free, I think. So ultimately, it's kind of bad. I mean, it's a good deck, but it's not a um
Yeah.
it's not very good to get. But anyways, that's fine. So the set has, as I said, a bunch of new cards, but the main one, obviously, Prismatic Evolutions, is focused on the evolutions.
Right.
So you want to talk about those first?
Yeah, so we'll talk with the three attackers from that deck. So we have the Flareon, which is you get three copies of that. It's 270 HP. I guess they're all 270.
Flareon EX, because there is a baby Flareon and all those as well.
Yeah, for all these EXs, there's a baby in the format, except for one of them, we already have the EX in format, so they're giving us the baby new. But
Mhm.
anyway, keeping things interesting, I guess there. So they all evolve from EV. They can also evolve from EVEX. We'll get to that. So that's I don't know how good that is, but it's an option. So their stage ones is 270 HP. They're Terra Pokemon, so the whole
They're not all 270. They have different HPs.
okay. So I misrepresented
I
already,
think
but
the Vaporeon here says 280. I believe the Jolteon's less at 260. They does have different retreat. They obviously have different weaknesses. So the stats are slightly different,
right.
but
So with this
similar.
deck though, with the Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon, each one has a first attack for one energy of their type. This is a fire and a colorless. This one does, and that's different on each of them. Burning charge. I don't know if the translation is correct or not, but what it does should be correct. Does 130 damage. Search your deck for two basic energy. Attach them to one of your Pokemon. And these are stellar Pokemon as well, I do believe, because the second attack is all three different energies. So it is a way to power up another different EV on the bench, because it's a box style deck, which is kind of attractive. I like that. I'm not sure how good these will be, but so you have the first attack, and then each of them has the exact same second attack. Although I think they have
Yeah,
different,
of these three.
these three with the same energy costs. Exact same energy. It's a fire, a water, a lightning. I think the order they put them in varies, because I think it's always like the Flareon, the first
I don't
energy.
think it is.
Okay, I could be
Let me
wrong.
check. Yeah, no, it is the same. Yeah, because like, and also this is this, I believe the same way in live. Like, your energy is always in a certain order. No matter what the order is you attach it, it'll like go on. And
Okay.
I don't know if it's the same order. I think it is, but
All right, okay, so I was wrong. It doesn't really matter. So, and it does 280 damage, which of course is a nice number. You're one-shotting those V stars with that, which of course are rotating, and you're rotating also one-shotting other stage one EXs for the most part. But it can't attack the next turn. It's three energies of three different types. So, how do you power it up is a bit tricky. We have the Terra, the things that work with Terras and such, right? We have Crispin for one thing. Sorry, and you have the glass trumpet, right, to get energies onto. Wait, is that just
huh.
colorless Pokemon?
Yeah, so it'd just be the EV.
The EV, either the single prize or the EVEX is a way to get that. So, and right now we have Magma Basin with the Flareon to get that on as well. And and with the Lightning one, we will have we have Electric Generator. So 280, you can't attack the next turn is okay. I don't love it though, because if you want to attack again, you have to double switch. It is three energies of three different types, so it's a little awkward. So I don't love Flareon, but it's okay. The Vaporeon, sorry, I just missed it here. There it is. That's 280 HP. Its first attack, Heavy Squall, does 60 to each of your opponent's EXs. So that's interesting. I don't know if that's going to be good enough, though.
Yeah, it seems pretty bad because obviously it doesn't hit Terras, and then it like your opponent probably doesn't like they have Pheasant Dipty and Squawkabilly maybe, and that is nice.
Right.
You're probably not attacking with it a bunch of times. If you attack 3 times with it, you might win or you might not, because there's a good shot that they don't have that many EXs on the board. So and it doesn't necessarily three shot. I mean, it doesn't even three shot Pheasant Dipty either. So it seems kind of weak.
Right. You need damage manipulation, right? So right now we have the Radiant. What's the Radiant that you move damage counters around?
Alex Zam.
Radiant Alakazam. You do have Monkey Dory. Um, I guess you could have maybe try a deck with this and Frostlass, and hopefully that they're EXs that aren't Terras that have abilities. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not loving it. I don't think you are either. And then we have the Jolteon EX. This was 260 HP, so the lowest HP of this set here. And its first attack for Lightning Colorless is Flash Spear, does 60 damage, and then you can discard two basic energies from your bench Pokemon. It does 90 more for each you discarded. So you discard two, 180 plus 60. So you're hitting 250, which is it's a funny number to hit 250, I will say, right? Because you're not one-shotting. You're still
Which attack?
the Flash Spear attack, right, on Jolteon.
Yeah, which does 240.
It does 90. Well, no, it does 250, right? Oh, no, 180. Yeah, it does 240. Sorry, not 250.
Yeah.
My math was wrong.
And then it also is Sphere Tree, which is nice, but um, yeah, we might talk about that later. There's some weird combo-y stuff you can do with the deck, but it's awkward. But yeah, it's like a decent attack. It's pretty similar damage to the second one, and it's
Yeah.
way easier to pay. Well, I don't know. It's easier to pay the Lightning Colorless, but then getting the other energies on, I don't exactly know how you do that, but it's easier than getting 3 of different types onto your active, I think.
Yeah, no, this is the best of the first attacks for the three for sure, and it might be as good as the second attack. Of course, the Jolteon is the lowest HP, so you're the most vulnerable to being one shot. You're probably gonna get one shot with any of these. That's a big part of the question. You're doing 280, but it's a bunch of work to do it, and then you get one shot. Is it worth it? So yeah, I mean you have Electric Generator, but you can't use that to get to the Eevee. You can only use that for the Jolteon. It has to be on the bench. So. That's a little awkward there. So, you have like the counter gain if you're behind in prizes, and So, but I'm not entirely sure about the powering up. That's always going to be well with any of the stellar Pokemon, right? The energy that is one of the big tricks.
Yeah, and you have Sparkling Crystal, which is also that'll help for the second attack
Yeah.
and the first attack. Guardian obviously only helps for the first attack. And then you have Crispin, and there's like different things, and it's kind of interesting. I think you can get them powered up. Also, originally I had said this previously. I thought there was a Tapu Koko EX in the set. It looks like there's not, or I said I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, Jolteon EX is interesting. Also, the regular evolutions, the baby ones, are more or less all the same as well. These were the ones that came out in, I believe, 151, and for one energy of their type plus 2 colorless, they do 90. But if your opponent's active as an EX or V, it does 180. So that's pretty solid. Their first attacks are all different. I don't remember. They're not like great. Really, none of the baby evolutions are particularly strong. I don't think we might. I think the Sylveon, which is the new one, is
Y-
okay.
Yeah.
Um, but these single prize ones are decent. You can use like reversal, which is good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing where you can have maybe just one copy, probably like of the Jolteon, whichever one you want. It's again a matter of what weakness you want to be able to hit for and such. You probably don't want to commit too much deck space to it, but having single prize attackers does help, right? Forcing your opponent to take 7 prizes instead of 6 to win the game is always good. So, I don't see this as a top deck. I gotta say, it's
No,
the
I don't think so.
so I think they were correct that this is the best deck to give us in the battle pass. Though I don't, there's no other deck of new cards from this that really compares to this, right? I mean, like we're going to talk about Badu, that's like a more impactful card than this probably, but it's not a deck as such. So they chose properly with giving us this as the first free deck we get.
Yeah. Um, and then do you want to talk about all the other evolutions now too?
Yeah, why don't we do that as well as the Sylveon?
Yeah.
So
Oh, maybe some of these other evolutions are new. I'm not sure. Maybe they're just different arts.
you're talking about the single prizers.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just see if you're ready to go ahead. You can bring something up. So we're getting Espeon, right? That's a new one.
No, it's not. I didn't think it was. It's just a different art. Well, I mean the EX is new, right?
Yeah, I mean Espeon EX. Sorry, so that's one. And this the first attack is Psychic Colorless. Colorless. It does 160, and you discard a random card from your opponent's hand. That's it's underwhelming, is what I'd say. Um, and then the second attack is Grass Psychic Darkness, and you devolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon, and rather than going into their hand, they go into their deck. So that's interesting, actually, right? I don't know that it's going to be. I don't think it's good enough, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, it's better than TM Devolution. Like TM Devolution's good against stage twos, or it's also good if you can like take knockouts with it. But if you don't, and it's just devolving a stage one or a stage two that's evolved manually, they can just play it down next turn. So it could be it actually has use cases, but it's very expensive. I have like no idea how you'd pay this one, to be honest. I mean, there's like Crispin, Sparkling Crystal, but that's not great.
No, I mean the work to do it. I don't think there's the payoff with it. So um, as I'm scrolling down, then I'm gonna so the Sylveon EX we already have or we already have, but they're giving us a single price Sylveon, and so this one has the attack isn't very good. It's 120 HP and it does 100 damage for 3 energy Psychic Colorless. So that's not great. I think you'd agree about that. But it has the Safeguard ability, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. Now, right now, and we'll have Mimikyu in format still, which is also immune to EXs. So that might just be better because it's a basic. But the idea of if you're playing an evolution deck, having maybe one Sylveon in the deck as a walling option, that certainly is going to merit consideration, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think it's decent. I don't think it's great. Like Mimikyu's not a great card right now. Mimikyu also evolves with V's, but those will be rotating.
Yeah.
I think Sylveon's a decent card, especially if you're playing reversal. I think it's solid because then you can actually attack with it easier. Will it see play? I think it has a chance to, definitely, but I don't know if it will.
Yeah, I mean, you put it in more a counter style deck, but I don't think these evolution decks are counter style decks. So I'm not sure it'll see a lot of play. But again, you might think about it and chuck it in something. So what as I'm scrolling down, so Umbreon's the next one, I believe. I guess there is no fighting evolution. Is that correct?
No, there's 8 regular types and there's 8 evolutions, but they're different types. Or they don't align. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, Umbreon, what, EX?
Yes. So it's got 2 attacks again. Like both of them are 3 energy. The first one's darkness, colorless, colorless. It does 160 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon's confused. Confusion's okay. Obviously, they can switch, they can evolve and get out of it. So and they
Yeah, switch or retreat as well.
yes, yeah. I mean, they have to retreat to the bench and get back into the active to reset it. So,
Mhm.
I mean, you can attack with something else, of course, too. But then it doesn't matter that it was confused in the first place at all. Um, and then the second attack is Lightning, Psychic, Darkness. And you discard all energy from this Pokemon and draw 1 prize. I first thought, that's interesting. And then as I thought about it a little more, I said, that's just not good enough. On a 2-prize Pokemon, having to get those 3 energies on, it's just not good enough drawing 1 prize, I don't think.
Yeah,
Right?
especially with discarding all of it too. Like, it's not like if you somehow lock your opponent out from really being able to do anything, you still won't be able to take multiple prizes with this most likely because it's so expensive, and it's more payable with Sparkling Crystal. I feel like Sparkling Crystal is, for example, with Pikachu EX, I think it's pretty strong. Like, it allows you to stream attacks. Obviously, Pikachu EX I think is mostly played in the Lost Zone right now, at least as an attacker.
Yeah.
But Pikachu EX with Sparkling Crystal is like kind of viable, but ultimately Umbreon EX, it's an evolution, and also taking 1 prize isn't that good. Like, if you just attack with, for example, Pikachu EX, you're probably taking 2 prizes with your attack, and obviously knocking out something.
Yeah, I mean, if you took 2 prizes, I guess it would be a maybe. It still probably wouldn't be good enough even at 2 prizes. So I think at 1 prize, it's just not. I don't see it worthwhile. This is my initial thought. So on that, and then what else do we have for evolutions? We have the EVs. Is that what all we're down to then?
Yeah, that would be the last one,
Um,
unless we, I don't think we did.
yeah. So I think so. So there's a new EVEX. Well, first there is the old EV that we've had in format. So which it can evolve from either the EV or this new EVEX. But so the EV, which is getting reprinted. There's a multiple EVs, but it's got boosted evolution ability. As long as it's in the active spot, you can evolve during your first turn or the turn you play it. So you can get one of these evolutions into play your first turn. Do you think that's going to be how valuable is that going to be? Do you think?
I think it's really good. There's also the other Eevee from Astral Radiance, which says if you evolve one of your Pokemon, or no, but if you evolve one of your Eevees by hand, like from your hand, then you can
Yeah.
evolve that Eevee by, I believe, searching your deck for the Eevee illusion, which is pretty cool. And that's actually really interesting because you mentioned Mango Basin. I don't remember if you mentioned Electric Generator, but that's one. There's also Dark Patch.
Yep.
And these are all cards that can be useful for evolutions, but also they're cards that don't work in the active. They only work in the bench. And this EV obviously only evolves in the active, but then you can evolve, say, Jolteon EX that has Free Retreat, and then you can also get the other EV and use that ability to evolve one of your, like, say, Flareon EX on the bench, and
Right.
then turn 1, and then use Magna Mason turn 1 to attack again turn 1, which is quite strong, though a lot of pieces.
It is, and as you say it, the deck I want to try is I want Magma Basin, I want Electric Generator, I want Dark Patch, I want it all, right? Which means the deck is just gonna
Which
not
probably
work.
isn't, and the attackers aren't even that good. But and then some of these cards are rotating. Dark Patch is rotating, Magma Basin is rotating,
Yeah,
and that EV is rotating. Not this new one, obviously, but the
right,
one from Astral Radiance.
right, with the Resonant Evolution. So right, we just right. So with the one EV, we still you'll be able to evolve first turn, and you can use Electric Generator, but obviously you're evolving the one the active for Generator post rotation, and Generator only works on the bench. So you've got you got a lot of switching to do to pull that off. So that's probably not the best play there. But and then we've got the new EVEX, and up to this point, EXs evolve from non-EXs. But now with this EV, because EVs are their own special thing, this EV can evolve. You can evolve this EVEX can evolve into the evolutions. It's got the ability Rainbow DNA. You can play Pokemon EX that evolve from EV. By that, it's just a single prize EV is what it's meaning onto this Pokemon to evolve it. And you can't evolve this Pokemon during the first turn your first turn or during the turn you play it. So you can't speed up the evolution, but you can evolve from EX to EX, and it is a Terra Pokemon. It is a Stellar Pokemon, but by being a Terra Pokemon, then you can use Noctowl and such with your EV deck, which you could do anyway, but you'd have to wait till you get to stage one in play, and obviously you want to be able to get Noctowl before you get your evolution, so you can get the pieces you need, right? So I don't love having this two prize EV and EX in play. It's 200 HP, which is okay. It's not great.
Yeah, and do you say it's attack?
No, I didn't. So it does 200 damage for uh, fire, water, lightning. So it's the same energy as the Flareon EX, the Jolteon EX, and the Vaporeon EX, but it does 200 instead of 280. You can attack multiple turns, assuming it survives, but it might not.
Yeah, it's an okay attack. I feel it's not like that good, but it's definitely all right. Um, Especially if you are like focusing your deck on those Pokemon, those evolutions. Also, it's kind of weird. They all have the same attack. Those three. I guess the idea is like weakness, but ultimately they do so much damage that weakness probably won't matter. And then they're just kind of boring. I feel like. I mean, they're not the most boring, but the evolutions I was hoping for a bit more from them because they're
Yeah,
generally fan favorites, but they're quite boring. But then EVEX, I think activating like Noctowl is a really big deal. Obviously, Noctowl is like a good Pokemon if it's like on, if it can do what it needs to do.
right,
As in, if you have a Terra Pokemon in play. Also, this does allow you to have with Area Zero Underdepths, you could have all 8 evolutions in play at the same time. That doesn't really do anything, but there's a thing you can do. And the but enabling Noctowl is cool because like Charizard DX is a deck that I feel like could theoretically get value from Noctowl, but obviously you probably don't have a Terra in play until you have your Charizard DX in play.
right.
But now you'll have a Terra in play before you've gotten your evolution set up. And also, the item card Terra Orb is a pretty interesting card that allows you to get any Terra Pokemon from your deck into your hand, and obviously you can get your evolutions, and that's
Right.
something you might see in like Charizard or whatever. But then now it can get you your basics, a pre-evolution basic as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, no, it brings an interesting aspect to the evolution deck. Within the battle pass deck, for instance, they're giving us in that list, you get two of the EVEXs, three of the single prize EV, the one that evolves in the active. So, which is probably a pretty reasonable split. We'll have to play, people will play around and see what's best with that. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to want one or two of the EVEXs in your deck, just partly, assuming you're playing the Noctowl engine, you're going to want to have the EVEX, right? So you can nest ball that into play and get going. You don't want to have to rely on getting the evolution. So, I don't, the EV, look, I'm glad they're giving us this EV deck. I don't think they're great, though. That's kind of where it's at. It's okay, is my thought.
Yeah, I've just got the Victini then. Let's do 10 more damage. Awesome. Um, oh, and I guess it is a colorless Pokemon, so you can get it with Fan Root. I'm just looking through the list. This plays Gravity Mountain. That's awesome. Oh, no, you can Glass Trumpet to the EV as well, which is nice. Oh, and then EVX enables that. So you can Glass Trumpet. You could attack with EVEX turn one. I don't think it's that hard to do. And you can attack with the Evolutions turn one, which I think is harder to do. It's kind of hard to do. But definitely some interesting stuff here. I don't think it's bad if this was like the third or fourth best deck in this set. I think it would be cool, but it's not. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's a mini set. This being the best deck, this is really the only even semi-viable deck, probably, right? From the set. So but there are some cards that do bring value, right? More broadly, as well as some cards that I think merit some thought, even though you're going to say they're bad at the end of the day.
they're reprinting Hearthflame Mask Ogre Pontiacs. Is that what it's called? I just yeah, that's what it's
It's
called. I
just
haven't played that card yet. Or I guess I played it in the Ogre Pond box. It's really bad though. The card and the deck. But anyways, so what do you want to talk about next? Should we talk about Badoo? Is it Badoo time?
I guess it is, right? That's the big that's the little elephant in the room, right? The little egg in the room. No, it's not
Yeah,
an egg.
which
I'm
I
looking
think
at
is
executor. Sorry.
it's a oh yeah, it's definitely I think it's overrated. I mean, I was gonna say I don't know if that's a hot take, but saying something's overrated it means that people think it's better than I think it is. So, by definition. But anyways, Badoo is good. What it does, if you don't know, it's a baby Pokemon, or it's not a mechanic. It's like a pseudo mechanic, I'd say. And you have their basic Pokemon with 30 HP, and they have free attacks, free retreat, and um, Yeah, so this one does 10 for free, and then your opponent is now item locked, so they can't play any items during the next turn. And there's not really any form of countering the item lock as far as I'm aware. In standard and expanded, there's like a support you can play that would break the item lock, but I'm pretty sure that's not a thing in standard. So this is like annoying. We've seen item lock with stage ones with Baynet EX and Venomoth, which are both in standard. And
Right.
then we've seen basics that are item lock focused or that are item lock attackers like Vikeville V, Seismitoad EX, which I think were each in different times like the best attacker in the game. Vikeville V was like a very short period of time, like in this like short time with like rotation. It was weird, but anyways, they were both strong, but they were also did more damage and had support for the damage. On top of that, and also were cards that had higher HP by like a lot. So Badu is not like those. It's not a card that'll be item locking you every turn, but it's more so a card that you set up and like kind of hide behind.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is it's going to for a deck that wants to go first so you can evolve later on, which there's a lot of decks like that. Right now you're ending your turn by rotoming V, or using Rotom V's ability, which obviously you couldn't do with Badu. Oh no,
Yeah,
I take
going
that.
first, right?
Yeah. So you want to evolve. You might want to go first, but you're going second. So then you're going to attack with Badu instead, just to slow down your opponent, right? So it's for an evolving deck. It's going to make, I think, life potentially difficult for a deck like Charizard EX, right? That wants to rare candy on turn two. So if you Badu, hit into with Badu. So because like if you're playing Charizard, and a lot of people do, it's popular. It's very good and you want to go first. But now, if you choose to go first with Charizard, there's a decent chance you can't rare candy your next turn, which means you can't get your Charizard, you can't get your Pidgeot EX up. So, it makes that much more difficult. So, I think it hurts certain decks. And it's a card you can slot into a few decks. In the Japanese list, they had the Champions League in Osaka. They only have the top 16 reported. But basically, the only decks that played it, one Ceruledge deck, and then a bunch of Dragapult decks played it because they want to evolve. And if they go second, ending the turn with the Badu attack is the best thing. So it makes sense in a deck like that, but it's not in like all the decks in Japan.
Yeah, it's in some. I think some of these are like trying to counter Badu and be aware and be able to beat it. It was a card that was played a ton when it first came out, but that is because, as we said, this set is bad and people like to play new cards. So
Yeah.
inevitably they'll end up playing cards that are not like people play cards more than like they are like higher than they are good. For
Right.
example, a Serial GX was the most played deck when the most recent expansion Surging Sparks came out. Serial GX is okay. It's not great. It's just okay, and that's fine. But I don't think anyone was really thinking it was amazing, and it's been fine. But it's not been the best deck in the game.
Right. And I'm looking here that there was in 16th place a Charizard deck. So what that deck did because of the Badu issue is they're playing two Charmeleons, they're playing two Pidgeotos, and they're playing Grand Tree, which you wouldn't have done before Badu, right? That's not how we play it now. But
Yeah, I know some people like Grand Tree. I don't.
yeah, I haven't really used it, so I need to give it some trying. But you're not playing Charizard two Pidgeotos and two Charmeleons, right? Basically, that's just like unless you really want to use the TM evolution, right? Which generally is not the best way to play it. So it's
Yeah.
good.
Also, this is a list. Oh, I just look at the list. This kind of is some of the thing that annoys me with it's four Arvin and only one tool of four Seal Stone. I feel like there should be a TM evolution in this list. I mean, it isn't. It's like kind of hard to find your energy. Like you just need to draw into it. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, normally you charge RDX into it, but in this situation, you'd need to draw into it if you want a TM evolution. But I feel like that's like super good here, going second.
Yeah, I mean,
Because like and you can get value off of the tool because it only plays one tool.
yeah, no, I agree. You have four Arvins, one Forest Seal Stone. Yeah, TM evolution on your first turn if you have to go second. That's how you want to end the turn there. So, I gotta imagine. So anyway, they did well though. So 5,000 people
Yeah,
event
no,
came in
absolutely.
16th. So I give them credit for that. So, but so I don't think every deck's not gonna play Badu. What I'll say is, look, when Badu drops, be prepared to see a lot of Badoo, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say like every deck might be playing Vadu the day it drops.
Right. So if you're a Charizard Pidgeot player or something like that, a rare candy reliant deck in particular,
Yeah, or if it like say like Rich Draco relies on Energy Switch, um, yeah, there's some decks that just like heavily rely on items, so don't play that right away, right?
yeah. So play a deck like the deck that won was Arcaludon Dialga. So you can get by without the items. You play a deck that you can survive without items, whichever way you want to go. That's what I would probably for the first week or something like that. I'd be prepared to do that. Is what I'd say. Which also means if you want to play this new evolution deck they're giving us for free, you're gonna have to get a bunch of items to make those turns happen. If you get item locked, you're gonna be unhappy. I imagine with that deck too.
Yeah, but do is not like a complete item lock thing. Like deck, it's not a deck. I mean, you could kind of build a deck around it or pair Badoo with some other item lock Pokemon. There was even a new item lock Tyranitar revealed, and so there are some different item lock cards. The item lock Tyranitar is kind of different. I was gonna say I've talked about it. It's my upload schedule and recording schedule is really weird. I recorded a video, and then in the middle of recording, new cards got like announced on a Poke Beach, but then they didn't have translations. So I like stopped recording, and now the upload order is different than the recording order. So, anyways, but yeah, Badoo is a card that you could build around. Like you could do Badoo into Baynet EX. Like Baynet EX is in Venomoth. They're objectively stronger than Badoo once they're set up. Yes, they do take an energy, but that's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And then you compare it with like Frostlass or yeah, probably Frostlass and do something there. And obviously that'd be annoying to play against. I mean, that's a deck that some people do play, but ultimately Badoo will be probably item locking you for a handful of turns. You will be behind, so you need a way to kind of get back into things. It might just be Badoo versus Badoo. Also, if you want to like Badoo's easy to knock out though, so keep that in
Yes.
mind. You can't necessarily play one random basic to knock it out because you'll be item locked presumably, so you can't search out that basic. But just kind of keep in mind there are supporters that can like get you set up. There are different things.
Right. I mean, which is partly why like Dragapult was highly represented. First off, you want to play the stage one. You don't not rare candy reliant. Plus, you placing 60 damage counters when you start attacking, so you're getting essentially one free prize with that Badoo. So you're taking advantage of that. Obviously, something like Monkey Dory that you can put damage counters onto it. Um, so some things like that keep in mind. And I guess the other thing is, will Badoo allow slower developing decks a little more viability? Right? Could you start the game with a Badoo, slow down your opponent a turn or two, and have a deck that's just a little bit behind things to get going? I don't know. You still will struggle, but it'll make it a little more viable probably.
Yeah, I don't think Badoo will be like that game changing. The decks I play, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a main deck, but I've been playing a lot of Dragon Ball Iron Thorns. That's like might be my favorite deck right now, my go-to deck, and that's not really gonna mind it. So yeah. Anyways, Badoo is definitely a card that people have talked a lot about, but um, you'll have a turn of items, not necessarily a turn to rare candy, but your first turn you won't be item locked. So that's something that you know you have. Then is that enough Badoo discussion? I feel like it kind of deserves more based on like how good it is compared to the other cards, but I don't really have much more to say about it right now.
No, I mean it is right. I mean it is the most meaningful card, right? Even though we're minimizing what we're saying, but we're saying the impact is minimal. We're minimizing just because it's gotten so much hype that the sense was it was going to just completely change the game. It's not going to completely change the game, but be aware of it, be prepared to deal with it. You're not going to play a four Badoo deck, I don't think, and get wins that way. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think
It
that's
would say like Charizard, like it's not good for Charizard because you're item locked, but
right.
Charmander one shots Badoo. It depends on the Charmander, but some do.
Right, but you got to get the energies in play, right, manually then.
Yeah, one energy, which is like an energy
Oh, it's
which you
just
need to
one.
somehow find. Well, they're
Okay.
different ones, but there's definitely one that one shots it for one energy. So uh, yeah, that might just be well. I don't how many Charmanders are there in standard. Um, yeah, I think there's no. Yeah, there's just one that one shots it for one energy, but it's sometimes played and definitely worth considering. Oops, I closed my tabs. Or I minimized them. Anyways,
Yeah.
so next up, let's talk about Regigigas. I think.
Yeah, there's a couple colorless Pokemon. So let's Regigigas is the better of the
But
colorless.
what are the other colorless Pokemon?
Well, just start. We'll save that. Leave a little suspense.
Oh, that one. Yeah, you
So
did say that earlier. It's
so
not good, by the way. Don't be.
oh come
Don't
on.
think.
So go and tell us about Regigigas.
Yeah, Regigigas is a Pokemon, a basic that has 160 HP, which is obviously high,
Yep.
and it does for 4 colorless, which is also high and has 4 retreat. You do 100, but if your opponent's active is a Terra Pokemon, it does 230 more. So 330, one-shotting pretty much every Terra Pokemon in the game. I don't know what survives it. I think Dragonite. It's Dragonite EX survive it. I don't know. Pretty much it one shots like Charizard and
Yeah.
Dragonite EX does not. I have no idea what survives it. But you one shot like pretty much every Terra EX in the game, and you one shot some single price as well, like the pre-evolutions to the Terra EXs, and then you also or colorless, which is nice. It's a really good attacker, specifically in Lugia with
Right.
Archeops, and it's also good with. It's like potentially playable in the Lost Zone. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly what's been played in, but it's just good.
Right. I mean, the problem is the attack cost is 4, and the retreat cost is 4 as well. So, but right, you're very limited to what can power it up. So I'm not sure post rotation what you can do with it. But obviously, Lugia is the main one, right? This is a big boost to Lugia. You don't need the Chinchinos to get the big damage up against your opponent's EX Pokemon. So and it's a basic, and it's just simpler to do. So it's good there. And like you said, Lost Zone. I mean, because like if you're using Crispin or something, but you're still it's still 2 turns like Crispin and Double Turbo or whatever. So I'm not sure how else you're all getting it powered up, but you have I guess Crispin Double Turbo, attach a Double Turbo, and was it counter gain, and I can attack. I'm good to go. Or
Pre-rotation, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was looking. So Chien-Pao is also like a way you can, or Baxcalibur, I guess, would be the way you can power it up.
okay.
And Mitchang. Also, someone like keeps commenting on my videos that like Badoo's bad for like Chien-Pao, but Chien-Pao's like not good. So yeah, I don't think it matters about Badoo. But anyways, yeah. So Mitchang could be used, but Dialga's rotating, so that's like bad.
Right.
And then
You have
who's
Gardevoir and you have Thornton before rotation, right? So we can do
yeah, and I
that.
saw Gardevoir deck with Slowking, Gardevoir EX with a Slowking, which like copies attacks.
Yeah.
This is a Blissey EX Glass Trumpet deck with Regigigas, so you could do that. You could just Glass Trumpet right onto it, right? So
That's
there are so
true.
many options. They're kind of bad, but you can use Charizard EX. Um, does Archaludon accelerate? I think it's only 2 metal Pokemon.
Yeah, I think it's just
Yes,
metals. Yeah. So
but you could Scramble Switch.
right, oh Charizard EX, right? That's to anything, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know if you said that or not. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so anyway, Lugia is the natural thing, and it does make Lugia better. And obviously, for the next 2 months, then it goes away. But I'm so it will be meaningful, right? Because Lugia is a decent deck. I don't think neither you or I like Lugia. It just feels very high roll. Like when you set up, it's great, and then it doesn't set up a lot of the time. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's like insane when it sets up. It's good, but like it's on the level of top decks when it sets up. And then obviously it's not when it doesn't set up. But the top decks are pretty much always at that level. For example, a card like or a deck like Regidraco and Charizard, probably the two top decks right now, are both like pretty consistent and very strong.
Yeah. So I mean, but it is it's one of the top 3 cards in the set, probably, right? This.
Yeah, I think it's based on plays in Japan. It's second, which is of the new cards. So that's obviously pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So the other colorless, which I want to mention, just the Hoot Hoot, because we are using the Noctowl engine, especially with the Evolutions, and there's a new Hoot Hoot with 80 HP.
It's not good.
What's
Yeah.
that? Hoot Hoot's
I
not.
didn't even know what it did. That's so bad.
Well, it's got 10 more HP. That's what it does for you. It gives you 80
Which
HP
is,
instead of 70.
and it has high retreat, which are both bad. You'd rather have 70 HP, and you'd also like you'd way rather have 70 HP, and then you'd also rather have one. You'd also really rather have one retreat, right?
Yeah. No, the extra retreat cost is not good for sure.
I feel like
Um,
the high HP is worse than the extra
because you
retreat
can't buddy
cost.
buddy Poffin,
Yeah,
is what you're thinking. So obviously, if you're going to nest ball for it, then you'd rather have the more HP.
Yeah, it has an ability. It can't be put to sleep. Yay.
See, that's what you're worried about with this, right? So now you know what way to play it. So, all right, so yeah, no, okay, so yeah, I guess the ADHP is going to be a negative more times than it's a positive. So, you just don't want to play it. So, all right, so that's it for colorless Pokemon. There, I'm glad you just took care of that.
Yeah,
So,
there's Snorlax though. Yeah, the EX. And there's Lugia EX. Oh yeah, this set has like a bunch of EXs. I think it
mhm.
might have like the most unique EXs like ever or something. But they're like all bad.
All right,
So
so this is just Pokemon always prints a lot of bulk garbage. So this is how much Pokemon hates Miltank. Okay, I don't know if you looked at the Miltank here.
the Miltank's okay. I mean, it's kind of bad,
No,
but
here's okay. So here's the big attack. Two
at least
colorless.
it's pretty bad.
It
Good.
does 100 damage for two colors. For that's not the worst thing in the world. I'll say that. But here's what it says after that, because they think 100 damage for two colors is too good on a basic. You can only use this attack if this Pokemon used rollout during its last turn. That's the first attack for one color, does 20 damage. So I attach an energy, do 20 damage. I don't get one shot, otherwise it's useless, and then I do 100 damage the next turn. So for 2 turns, I've done 120 damage.
I mean, obviously in like actual like standard play, it's bad. But in, like if you're just playing casually, like with the random cards with like
Uh,
friends, it's better than like this. I mean, there are like a lot of bad cards, right?
I'm just saying.
So
I mean, why did they have to make it? You have to use the first attack for the second to use the second attack.
yeah, I mean we see attacks like that, but
uh,
it's bad. I'm not gonna say it's
yeah.
good, but there are probably worse. I'm like looking for a worse card, and I don't see any. I
It's
mean, I see some pre-evolutions. Does this Sneasel evolve into anything? I don't think it does. Or is there a Weavile that's like water? Um, I don't see it. But anyways, yeah, the Sneasel that does 20 for one darkness isn't very good. That's worse. That's worse. But it's a Prevo. So maybe that doesn't count. But whatever. The card's not very good.
yeah.
But like there's so many EXs because there's something called like the each generation got two EXs. They're not all in this set. So there's not 18 like bulk EXs. Well, there kind of is, but there's like those a bunch of those are in this set, and then also and cards from those decks which are bad and uninteresting on top of that. And then also there is the evolutions which also aren't particularly great. They're not super inspiring. But where do you want to go next? You want to talk trainers? Do you want to
I got a
talk
couple other Pokemon, so let me hit those. I have two other Pokemon. So one is the Seeking. Gotta
mhm,
love the Seeking. It's got the
mhm.
Festival lead ability. It's 110 HP. Evolves from Goldeen. So as long as the Festival grounds in play, it can attack twice. That it has printed on it. Right? You can't use a tool on it because that would be unfair as they decide things. And you get to, but
Exactly.
this attack's better. Isn't terrible. It does 60
It's
damage.
better. It's worse than
Well,
it's better
you
than I
draw
guess
two
the
cards
Goldeen
though, so now you're
thing.
drawing 4 cards. So that's not
Yeah, and
terrible,
doing
right?
120.
And you have to have your festival grounds in play. So that means you play it with Thwacky, right? So you have a
Mhm.
nice engine, and it's all good, right? But look, it's drawing 2 cards is good. I will say that.
Well,
Um,
yeah, you'd rather draw two cards than not draw two cards, but
yeah,
it does less damage generally than the other one, the Difflin.
yeah.
It's colorless, but still.
Yeah, 60 is not terrible though. I think 60 and drawing 2 cards isn't bad, honestly. And it does it twice, so you're doing, like I said, hey, I'm doing 120 damage in one turn. It took me 2 turns with the mill tank to do that, and I drew 4 cards. So,
Yeah,
so compared to
yeah,
that,
the
it's
awesome mill tank.
busted, right? It's
I don't know
broken.
about that, but you can combine this. You could if you're playing Festival Lead or Festival Grounds, and then you can also play that Hoot Hoot. So then you double can't get put to sleep.
And look, it's not the best card. I think I might have to give it a try, but look, I knew you hated it, so I knew you'd
Well,
hate.
it's not good. I mean, like Difflin's not very good. This is worse than Difflin.
I'm not sure that it's worse than Difflin. I think, but honestly, I'm not so sure. But I think we've wasted too much time debating which is worse, Difflin or
No,
Seeking.
Difflin's objectively better. It just does more damage.
It does more damage, but damage isn't everything. So
No, but the card draw, you literally just said it has an awesome engine, which I agree with. Anyways, so
so so
that's the thing.
anyway, did more than enough on that. But this other card is interesting, and this is Tranitar EX. I don't know if you paid attention
Oh, I
to
finally
this one.
found it. Yeah, and I've seen it. It's okay. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, this one 340 HP, so it does not get one shot by whatever we're talking about before, right?
Yeah. Oh, which only does it to Terras anyways. So
Oh, so I'm like doubly immune, doubly safe
yeah,
there. So it's a stage 2, evolves from Pupitar, which is what, fighting type, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think it always is. I think there's some Tyrantars in standard that are like, I mean, I don't think they're
I
good,
think
but
they're different types, though, I think.
I think there's multiple Tyrant. Oops, there's probably. I thought there's multiple. Oh well, there's the No, there's multiple darkness ones in standard. There's one which does damage based on damage counts on your bench Pokemon. You compare that with, and then has Earthquake as well for 4. That's kind of bad, but you can do you compare that with Dodrio. And then there's the other one which does 30 or more for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, or for 2 darkness, you do 230. Discard the top 4 cards of your own deck. So it's an okay card. And then there's the Terra Lightning one, which starts as fighting, which you probably won't play with this one.
All right, but so let's talk about this. So the first attack is just colorless. The second attack is darkness, colorless, colorless. So if you wanted to have some other Tyrannitars with other types of energy, you could do that in this deck too. So the first attack, crush 50 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. But
Oh
that's
yeah,
not.
you're looking at Pokebeach.
I'm looking at. Yes. Why is the other one different?
Okay. Oh, I know. I mean, the name's
Oh,
different.
the name. Okay.
The attack.
So
Oh,
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Okay, so what the attack does is the same though. 50 per energy attached, but you're probably not having one or two. You only have like 1 or 2 energies attached because yes, we do have Dark Passion format, but the pre-evolutions aren't darkness, so you're probably not getting a bunch of extra energies on it. But the second attack is the interesting one. It does 150
Wait, the
damage.
second attack's the interesting one?
Yes, yeah. So you
Wait,
should.
didn't we look at the card just like this?
I don't.
Anyway, do it.
So it does
Yeah, but
150 damage. That's not great.
yeah, 150. Yeah.
But the second part's good, and you don't usually get this. Your opponent reveals their hand, and you discard a card there that you find. So you get
Wait,
to
okay,
what?
never mind. The translation's different on Justin Weasel.
Oh,
It says you just get a random card from their hand.
oh, well, that's a
And
huge
Justin,
difference. That's a
that
huge.
is a huge difference.
So it says discard a card you find there. I assume that means I choose, which makes it.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, it says, okay, well, I don't know.
Justin
Anyway, so
Basil's
let's
site
just,
is discard a random card. So that's a huge
yeah.
difference. A huge difference. So we'll have to find out what it is.
Yeah.
Actually,
Ultimately, if it is discard a card of your choice, that's okay. I
yeah.
mean, ultimately, what you're probably discarding trainers most of the time. So like Luxray is probably better. Um,
But you're doing 150 damage, which is
well, Luxray EX
what's that
does
do?
120 or something. You discard. Wait, what's Luxray EX do? No, Luxray EX might be this, but better. Yeah, you look at your opponent's hand, discard 1 card you find there for 2 colors. You do 120. So let's say Luxray V does you discard a trainer, but Luxray EX is any card. So yeah, I feel like Luxray EX is better.
Well, it does.
Obviously, you will be losing double turbo, but Electro EX is a decent card.
Well, this does 150. This one does 120,
It's not
right?
that much more, and it's a darkness energy. It does have more HP as well. Like there are advantages to this, but ultimately, I
Yeah.
think they're like Luxray EX is probably better, and
Well,
Luxray EX also isn't that good.
well, Luxray EX because of electric generators better, right? That's why you're saying it's better.
Well, no, well, I mean it's cheaper. It's 2
It's 2
colorless, and
colorless.
you can
This
play it.
is 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, the more HP, the more damage. It's not across the board better.
But
So,
don't you also not? Don't you also want to do less damage in a control deck?
well, but I think this is, this is getting that
It's
funny.
like a disruptive attack deck.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like that Hydreigon type deck where you're trying to take damage and mess with your opponent at the same time. You're trying and take prizes. You're trying to win by taking prizes with this deck, is what I'd say. But you're trying to slow down your opponent at the same time. Because your attack's not quite good enough. Or your attack's just not good enough. Period. Right? 150 damage is not good enough on a stage 2 for 3 energies. I get that, but look, if the translation, if it's a random card, then Tyranitar is just bad. I would say if you pick the card, it's interesting. It's still not great, but I think it's not even good, but it's
I
interesting.
think it's still worse than Luxray EX, but
Maybe.
like, but noticeably, in my opinion. But.
All right, so you kind of shot down my Pokemon here. So what do you want to talk about next?
Let's see. I don't think there are any other Pokemon worth talking about. I don't really remember all of them. There's there's some that were cut from the set, which are kind of interesting, which is kind of unfortunate. Like there's only a handful of interesting Pokemon from the set, and
Oh,
like half of them
what about the Slow King? You put 2 energies
are.
in their hand, I believe, right? Where's that card?
What's this looking?
I'm trying to find it here. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking around. I don't see it. I could have missed it. I don't think it's here.
Oh, Slow King. It's a water Pokemon.
Slow King. Oh, what was I
Yeah.
thinking? I was thinking of Slacking.
Okay.
Oops.
So
Yeah,
70 damage. It's for 3 energies, but it's a reversal, right? Or we can use Baxcalibur. It does 70, and you put 2 energies attached to their active Pokemon back in their hand.
that's
That it's something, huh? All right. Well,
yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not that good. It could be usable, I guess. Nothing particularly impressive there, but we have some trainers. These trainers
yeah,
are okay. Friends of Paldea isn't great, but you have some. Oh, there's a lot of reprints here. So the first one we have is a Maris, which is a supporter. You draw 4, but at the end of the
yeah.
turn, if you have 5 or more cards in hand, you discard your hand. You play this with your Togekiss to always discard your hand. That's bad. But this is after prizes as well, I'm pretty sure. So that's kind of awkward because you'll probably assuming you take a knockout, which obviously you generally want to be doing,
Right.
then you're going to draw probably like 2 extra cards, and then that's bad.
Yeah. I mean, here's the question. I find it really intriguing, but because first off, we agree draw three is not terrible, right? It gets mocked on, but it's not terrible. So drawing four is actually
Well, no, I think it's bad. Well, I don't know. I think like Avery, yeah, I guess it's like it's better than people like. I mean, it's just making fun of it with friends in Paldea, but it's like it's not that
but
bad.
drawing four
It's
is kind of good, right? It could be good,
it's like decent. It's solid.
but if,
Um,
but
yeah,
discarding
if it was
at losing your hand's bad, right? So the question is there a
yeah.
deck that I want to lose, get cards? Can I use this in a deck to help discard? Um, but I'm not discarding on my turn, so you probably just want to play research or something instead. Um,
Yeah, I feel like it's really like niche. In the other form, I think it's a card that you could look at as just like a draw 4 supporter. You can almost always avoid the downside, and then you
right.
can win, and then you can like get value, and then um, do it that way. I don't like. I think draw 4 is that impressive. I think as I said, I think it's okay. There's a supporter card Avery. I did not like. It's a card that I think was super overrated. It was it's draw 3. I'm just gonna say it's draw 3.
No, well, you didn't like
And
the second effect of Avery. You thought that it actually was bad for most of the time.
yeah, I thought this was worse than draw 3. And people played it like a bunch, and I was like, okay.
All right,
I guess
so what it does for people that don't know, you draw 3 cards on your supporter, and then if you drew any cards that way, your opponent discards Pokemon from their bench until they have 3 cards. So your opponent then discards their Lumineon V or their like at the
like
time like
Spock.
their Mew V Max with like 300 damage, right? They would just get rid of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna heal my Pokemon. I'm gonna discard my Pokemon that I want out of play." It's like, obviously, if you're against a deck like if this was the game now, it would be good against Trap, Go CX,
Right.
but there weren't really any decks like that at the time. There was a Eternatus, and I guess it was a counter to that. But people didn't play it just as a counter to Eternatus. And then, and people play, like, a bunch of copies sometimes. And then also, um, there was a deck, Suicune V deck, it, like, kinda countered, but I don't think it was that good against it. And
Yeah.
also, then that deck played like Inteleon, which is like Noctowl, and you want to discard your Noctowls. I mean, Trapdos, you want some Pokemon to play, but if you discard your Noctowls, you can then recover them and then reuse them. So, and then also like you have your like Squawkabilly EX or cards like that, and that you obviously want out to play. And a lot of times you don't have more than 3 bench Pokemon anyways, so a lot of the time it was just draw 3, and that was like the most common thing. And then sometimes if you play it, it would help your opponent, and then very occasionally it would hurt them. But I feel like it was quite bad.
Yeah, look, there were some decks that did hurt. I will say that, but most decks it either was neutral to or helped probably. You just had to, and as you play live, you see a lot of, it's not all you see suboptimal play in live games on a decent amount of the time, right? So players don't know
Yeah,
when to make the right play, so they would play it
yeah, not
what
like
they should.
terrible play, but just like mistakes,
Yeah.
some mistakes.
So people are learning, and that's all
Yeah, and I
fine.
mean everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes too, but
Yeah, so look,
yeah.
on Amaris, drawing four is not great. I think is there an interesting use case for it where you want to have cards in your turn, but then want to discard cards at the end of turn? I'm not sure, right? That's
United Wings. No, that
no,
seems bad.
because they you just want to research again. So it can't research.
Yeah,
It has
well, you
to.
can't play 4 research, or you can't play 5 research. You can play
Yeah,
Carmen though, or Serena.
right.
Serena will be rotating, but
Right.
Carmen's like pretty good.
Yeah. So
It
Amaris
draws you
is
more.
probably just bad, but it's an interesting card.
Should play Komodo. Do you know Komodo? Wait, is that the right card? I don't even know if I know Komodo. there was just rotating, but you choose a card from your hand. This is a supporter. And then you discard the other cards that you didn't choose, and then you draw 4 cards. So,
Okay. So look, I'm
yeah.
so
So
just
what are your thoughts on that card,
which one? Kamado?
Kamado?
It do-
Comparing it to Amaris, I
it
feel like they're
doesn't
kind of similar.
sound good, but Amaris is
Well,
much
why doesn't it sound
better.
good?
What did it do exactly?
You choose a card in your hand and discard the other
Oh
cards,
yeah.
and then you draw 4 cards.
No, that's not bad. That's not bad.
But no one's played it. Like no, literally, no one person played it in Lugia in a city league and placed top 16.
All right. So hang on. I'm looking for the art for this other supporter. I just wanted to talk very briefly. Oh, Larry's professionalism. That's what it is.
Wait, so you're just ignoring Kamado? I feel like there's actual
Well, that's not a
interesting
new
design.
card, right?
Well,
So
but you're saying Amaris can be good,
no,
but
I don't
then
think. I
Kamado is
think
very similar.
a question is I want to find a deck that can use Amaris. That's what I want to do. I want to find a deck for it. That's one of my goals over the
Oh,
next. I have 3 years to work on it, right? Because or 2.5 years.
2 years.
So
Yeah,
I have
more so
two
like 2 years.
2 years to figure out one deck that can kind of make use of Amaris, right? Not like
Better than it could make use of like Carmen or Research.
exactly yes that I want during my turn. I want to keep the cards in hand, but then I want to discard at the end of my turn. I don't know what that is yet, but it's got to be out there. That idea.
It's got to be Scoville.
It's always Scoville, but I don't think that's the answer here. I
No,
will
yeah,
bring up Scoville in a minute though, since you brought it up.
maybe we will.
But where's the one I said?
Larry's professionalism. Yeah, Larry's professionalism, which says, where's it?
Oh,
Larry's skills is what's
Yeah, it
printed
says
here.
Larry's skill here. Yeah.
You discard your hand, then you search for a Pokemon, a supporter, and in basic energy, reveal and put them into your hand. You obviously can't play the supporter. Basic
Yeah.
energies are okay. I mean, the Earth Invessel's good, I guess, but
Right.
like it gets 2 energies, and it also like it's a really good versatile card. It's not like a
Yeah.
broken card. And then and it's an item. And then Larry's skill, you can get a Pokemon, which is good. Is it insane? No, it's good. Like Irida can get a new water Pokemon, and that's good, but also gets an item. The item's like the big thing. The water Pokemon's nice, but
Right.
Larry's skill seems bad, like kind of funny. Like it's not the worst supporter I've ever seen by any means, but it seems bad.
Right. I mean, if they replace supporter with item, all of a sudden it becomes good, right? But
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good. That'd be a very good card, to be honest.
you'd see a lot of play. I don't think it would be broken, but the fact that one of the key opponents to get is a supporter that by definition you can't play because you had to play your supporter already. And yes, I can get a Pokemon and a basic energy, which I might not do otherwise. It's not. That this is a bad supporter. All right.
Yeah, if it didn't discard your hand and got your Pokemon and a supporter and a basic energy, I think
Yeah.
it'd be pretty good. Like not broken,
Yeah.
not even like played that much, but it would be all right. But it's not that. So yeah, unfortunately, Larry's skill kind of bad. And are there any other new? Oh, there's a bunch of research arts, and then there's black belts training, or
Right.
what's it? Black belts
Or
something
black belts
practice.
practice, depending which. Yeah.
And there was a bunch of different arts, which is a thing. There's an art for each generation, but they're not on the set. But anyways, during this turn, attacks used by your Pokemon do 4 to 1 damage to your opponent's active EX before weaknesses and resistance.
Right.
This is pretty good. Obviously, doing extra damage is good. We have Kieran, which is 30 more. 2 EXs, also Vs, which are currently in the game,
Right.
which will be in the game when this card comes out, but not for that long. And then it also acts as a switch. I think this card's mediocre. Kieran, I think, does enough of what this does, plus the switch. So I think that's better. But it's an interesting card to keep an eye out for. It's not bad by any means.
Yeah, I mean 40, right. Kieran gives you 30. This gives you 10 more. Some deck in some situation at some point in time is going to want this card, though, Or again, with Pidgeot EX in format, if that's in your deck, you maybe, you might slap one of these in your deck, right? So you can get it the turn you need it. So it's an okay card. I think you said it was like the third most played card from the set. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So and it's an okay card. So partly it shows the weakness of the set too. But yeah, it's okay, and I'll have to think about it in decks, right? Which decks do I want it? What decks do I think I need that extra reach to get into? So I need to. It's a card to keep in mind and try out in a few decks.
Yeah. Then there's a tool called Hobbenberry, which is like one of the berries. I think it's the best one where
Yeah,
you, for a type, this one's dragon. If the Pokemon this card's attached to is damaged by an attack from your opponent's, let's see, it's dragon Pokemon, takes 6 less damage, and then you discard it. I feel like it doesn't need to be discarded, but it's okay. It can allow you to live
right.
a hit. It's not a bad card, but it's not great either.
I mean, right now it's the best of these tools, and it's the best it is right now, probably because we have, besides Dragapult, we have Regidrago, right? So it gets, which are two very good decks. So you'll get some use out of it. So this could be an include in some decks.
Wait,
In
what decks did you say?
roll Dragapult and Regidrago V Star.
Okay, and there's also Raging Bull EX.
That's yep, I forgot about that. So it forces them to discard an extra energy, which they might be able to do, but then it also makes their next turn a little bit harder too.
Yeah. And then there are 2 ace specs. There
Yep.
is oh, I guess Rotostick's also new. I think Rotostick's seen some play, but you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal any number of supporters you find there, put them into your hand. It's like
Yes.
Pokegear, I guess. It's like, again, you don't need multiple supporters. It's realistically worse, but
Right.
it's a card. And then
Well, here's the thought on Roto Gear because I love Pokegear 3.0,
Rotostick.
Roto Stick. Sorry. So do I put
I
do I
don't think
put
Rotogear's a different card, but
okay? So Roto Stick. Sorry. And because I like Pokegear, so if I want Pokegear, but I can only put 4 Pokegear, am I going to slap a couple Roto Sticks in as well? I might
yeah.
just
Oh,
do
this
that.
card's also seen play. It might be the fourth or fifth most played card in the set. But it lets you. It's played in like all control decks because they play lots of supporters or like
Right.
stall control decks, disruptive decks, and yeah. So that's like kind of interesting there to get multiple, which can be nice. And then the 1A spec treasure tracker. So train number of Pokemon tool cards, or no, 5 Pokemon tool cards. Reveal and put them into your
Right.
hand. Shuffle your deck. This is
It's busted. So here's the thought because you're going to say
what?
it's bad. I know you are. So don't forget though, you play this in your deck, and then you play Revroom EX or
Mhm.
Honchkrow V. You can play attach 4 tools to those. So
Yeah,
Revroom
yeah, you can.
EX does right. It does 170 damage plus takes 30 less damage. That's the effect of its attack. And then you get like it's a stage 1, so you get the tool that reduces your damage right by 30 on stage
Yeah,
ones.
the goggles or
So
whatever.
now I'm taking
Protective
150 less
goggles.
damage. 150
Oh
less
wait, no,
damage.
not protective goggles. The
No, it's not that at all. But
belt. Max. No, what is it? I don't remember
you
what
know
it's
what I
called.
mean. It's for stage ones. I believe it's 30, right? It reduces damage by 30 on stage 1 Pokemon.
Oh, rigid band. I finally found it.
There you
Yeah.
go. So, yep. So, see, you hadn't thought of that one to head you.
I think I have, but not with this card. Like it's not that hard to find tools anyways. But anyways, yeah. So that's a thing.
All right.
And then there's also the one I think is pretty good is what's it called?
Max Rod.
Max Rod.
Yeah.
And you put up to 5 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy from your discard into your hand. This is 5 times the value. Well, not necessarily 5 times the value, but it's 5 times Night Stretcher. Night
Right.
Stretcher, obviously a good card. It's kind of like Super Odd, but to your hand, which is generally better. In certain situations, it's worse, but that like Lot Zone, it could be worse, but
Right.
generally it's better. This is interesting. Theoretically, it can enable big like combo comeback turns or something with like TMS or Grappani X or something. I don't know if it actually has a use case. This card in expanded seems kind of interesting. Like maybe it could be good. It seems more like an expanded
Hmm.
themed ace spec, kind of like Secret Box, kind of like Turbo-y, Combo-y, things like that. So I think Max Rod's definitely decent. I mean, I don't know. I haven't. People haven't really played it. It seems interesting though. I would be surprised if this never sees any play. Um, I don't necessarily expect to see a ton, but I think it's decent.
Yeah, I mean, generally you're gonna because most of the time you don't need that many Pokemon in it. Basic energy, right? Usually you just need one basic energy to attach, maybe a second one if I have like Radiant Greninja or something, and I just need one Pokemon, maybe 2 Pokemon, right? So you're not taking full value, but you'd rather have like 2 of the Night Stretchers and probably some other Ace spec, right? Because it eats up that slot. So the expanded thought's interesting though. Like because obviously that now I can get my back into Dine GX and some other like, and I can make some.
After your opponent Avery's you, you can get back here to donate GX.
See, I can get back my Dine GX and my Crobat all at the same time. So
Yeah, and your Luminion V. Like you got Air Zero under depth, so you get back like all like your Eldegoss V, your Luminion V, your
yeah,
GX, your Crobat V, your I don't know, you wouldn't want Eldegoss and Luminion. I don't know. You get back all the Pokemon. Your Galarian Zigzagoon, your Hawlucha, all those.
yeah.
Everyone just like loses. Because they played Avery. No. But yeah, Max Rod I think has some potential in some different combos. Um but like I don't know what those combos are, but theoretically it seems interesting. I think it's kind of cool in Raging Bolt. I don't know, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, maybe the best case you thought of, which I hadn't, of the Teal Mask Ogerpon, because then you need Pokemon and energies, and of course for Goldango EX, right? I mean, they
Oh
probably
yeah,
want the
that's
other A spec though, right, to get the energies in hand. But obviously,
yeah, like
you could argue this is better. This is better late game, right? Probably.
yeah, I think there's some interesting. Like I haven't played Goldango. I don't think with the new A spec. Have you?
No, I haven't.
It'd be a good
I
one.
used to play a bunch of Goldango, but I haven't played it with the new A spec. So,
Yeah,
but it's okay, right? I mean, I'm not sure where I put it on the A spec list. There's a bunch of A specs that go above Max Rod, but it's okay.
yeah. But anyway, I think that's all for today's episode of the podcast. Again, check us out on YouTube at 10 Types and Uncommon Fossil on YouTube. You can check out either of our channels. If you have a question for one of us, ask us on that channel at the comment section. And yeah, we're excited for this set. It's not the most exciting set, but it is still always fun to get a new set. And this will be the last set before
Right.
rotation. Kind of. It's a little weird with rotation. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed. And as I was excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.